Carol. I'm from Lead Forensics, and today I'm joined by Andy Smith, CEO of Strategiq. Andy, how are you doing today?
Feeling great. Yeah, excited about the webinar.
Excellent stuff. Yeah, I've been looking forward to this one as well. So it's been a long time coming, this one, hasn't it? But we got there. Andy, as I say, we're talking Leader's Guide to Smashing Revenue Targets. So I think my opening question to you is, as a leader, what is the one thing you'd advise CEOs to do to ensure success?
One thing. Can you distill it down to one thing? Okay, if we're true to the webinar, like maybe set the target. Might be an obvious one, but I think CEO, your key responsibility is setting the vision and making sure that everyone's absolutely aligned to it, and it's communicated. So I think you have to bring the energy, and you have to put the energy behind that vision. So if I could cheat and have two things,
Please, by all means.
set the vision and then bring the energy every day to deliver it. That's the CEO's function, in my opinion.
And I know that we want to get to talking about aligning. I mean, you did mention in your answer there, aligning everybody. So aligning particularly marketing and sales teams. So to that effect, how important is it to have that communication between those two departments that can sometimes be quite disparate, quite siloed?
Again, it's how important is it. I don't know if it's how important you can't drive revenue unless sales and marketing is aligned. In my opinion, we see it a lot with when I think about that internally. How do we align everyone behind the vision, and how do we make sure everyone's clear on what the strategy is towards getting there, and the tactics? But if you take it broader to people that may be listening to this within their business, it's quite common that a marketing department will do brand positioning. They'll do social media tactics. They'll do lots of what we'd call, I don't know, marketing tactics, for want of a better word. And then you've got the salespeople running out over here trying to close deals, and you've got salespeople running around trying to close leads. And joining that up is so important to making sure that there's a common revenue objectives and everyone's aligned to it. Don't know if that answers your question, but
Well, let's get into it a bit more then. So let's talk about, if you were to have a strategy for that sort of thing, what does that strategy look like? How would you define that strategy?
for joining up sales marketing,
Yeah, sure.
yeah, I think we're talking a lot now around data visibility, and we're talking around customer experience. So when you're trying to align a strategy for around sales and marketing, the bit that kind of gets missing, or is missing in most cases, the tech and understanding where the client is in that sales process. So if you understand the customer experience and you have a really nice customer experience understanding of your business, you use the tech platforms to make that visible to both the sales and marketing teams, then you're talking about taking a customer on a journey. So a strategy would look something like layering out that customer journey, making sure marketing puts more people in the top, and when it's handed over from sales, we talk about kind of marketing qualified leads to sales qualified leads, and that crossover point where marketing has done its bit and then sales should then pick that lead up. That's really important, that strategy and those deliverables are clear on what's driving those actions. Because what you genuinely see is lots of leads going into the top of the funnel, no necessarily awareness of where that customer is in the buying process. It gets thrown over the fence, in old language, to a sales team. Sales team got no visibility of what the customer need is, no visibility of the customer journey, and therefore you're sort of picking it up and trying to run with it. So a specific sales and marketing strategy and aligning that should be around customer data, customer visibility of where they are in the sales cycle, and making sure that everyone's got visibility on both sides, so that the person in the middle, i.e. the customer, knows and what to expect. Um, so yeah, I'd say strategically making sure that you have the customer experience really nailed, the data and the the customer journey is really clear, and communication on both sides is joined up.
And are there any specific tools that you use to facilitate all of those things?
Yeah, I mean, we like HubSpot because it gives us our central point of truth for that sort of customer data and visibility of where they are. If you think about customer experience platforms and how they've evolved, the days of maybe push communication of mailing platforms or ESPs has, I think, changed. So there's various platforms that a business could look at, i.e. MailChimp. You've obviously got Dot Digital, Klaviyo's e-commerce led, eMasters. So there's lots of customer experience platforms now that can map that journey out. And obviously, we're talking about lead forensics today. Shameless plug for what we're doing. Having visibility of making sure who's coming into your marketing funnel, where they're coming in from, is really important. And lead forensics does that really well for lots of our clients, including ours. So good ESP platforms, good customer experience platforms are essential for mapping out that customer journey. And then that visibility of tracking people through your sales funnel, like things like lead forensics and other tools, are really critical as well.
Well, I'm pleased that our product is serving you so well, Andy. It's it's really really good to hear. I myself personally also am a big fan of HubSpot. So if you're watching HubSpot, do text in.
Yeah.
Um, so why do you think there is this? Because I've done a lot of these webinars and podcasts for lead forensics, and the subject of aligning sales and marketing comes up quite often. Why do you think it is that there, particularly with these departments, there are those silos? Why do you think there is this? It can be a challenge to not have them aligned and not have them communicating.
Um, why are they not aligned? What's my experience in that? I think a lot of it comes down to clarity of the business plan. You said right at the start, um, it's what's the vision of the business and how clear are that across the organization. Um, what what I've experienced in the past across mainly larger organizations are um, the kind of C-suite, if you like, take their own responsibility um, to deliver sales. Then you have, it might be sales director, CMO, CTO, CCO. If you think about traditional C-suite level setup, and I think that it starts to fall down where the disconnect is not aligned at C-suite, and because the activity then sort of falls into different departments. So it's probably down to how organizations are set up to fail in that way. I don't know if organizations we've transitioned our own thinking around hierarchy, where um, in the last year we've thought, well, the client sits in the middle of our business, and we've restructured around client central. Then you wrap that around with strategy and client services. Then it's the people that deliver the work. Then it's making sure that the operations sit around and support the people delivering the work. And then we put the directors around the outside of that, making sure that the people supporting the people. And so you almost have this slightly different hierarchical structure with the client at the center. I think some of the challenges with organizations in traditional hierarchies means that the sales director's got a target to hit, the CMO's got a target to hit, and I don't know if they're always aligned. So then what happens is the strategies are disconnected because we're doing brand. You know, if you think about the fluffy marketing um, perception of, oh, marketing is just about brand. The salespeople are there for knocking on doors and warming up customers and finding opportunities. So that that is why I think there's a disconnect. I think it comes from board level and then role responsibilities, and then how organizational hierarchies are almost set up to be separate silos. And that's not in all cases. There are some obviously businesses and brands that are brilliant at it, you know, but where it goes wrong and where they're disconnected, I think is almost, as you said right at the start of the call, it's, you know, how strong is the leadership and the vision, and how aligned is everyone towards knowing that businesses work if revenue is generated, and you look after your customers, and you know the basics of running, you know, a good business. So I think it's that's naturally how um, I would answer that. The final part to that is I don't think we've caught up on the importance of tech. Um, I think we're still seeing this. We've got a business plan, we've got a marketing plan or a brand, and we've got a marketing strategy. There's lots of um, 5 or 10 years we've been talking. The last 5 or 10 years we've been talking about business transformation as a thing. You know, tech transformation is a thing. But I don't think people have really at a board level invested enough in the tech to connect the brand up. And I think that's a big problem at the moment. I don't think that the data is visible, so therefore marketing is disconnected from sales in that way as well.
So, I mean, you mentioned the importance of tech. Then, well, I'm going to come on to something that I've just asked absolutely anybody and everybody about. Then, are there any sort of AI implications there? In, you know, you mentioned the importance of tech, and is there any sort of applications for AI that helps with, you know, um, aligning sales and marketing teams?
Um, yeah, I think again that the platform in a marketing sense, it's visibility and how data's um, stored and then used and put forward into organizations. So we are seeing more of that now. Uh, and a lot of the platforms, I mean, HubSpot, Google, and they're all leaning into AI in a way that's making data more visible.
Mm.
So I think everyone's talking around it. Am I seeing it day to day being used? Probably not, unless at enterprise level. So, you know, enterprise level businesses are you know, they have whole departments around AI, and how they're making um, better decisions based on seeing how their customers are responding to things like marketing. I mean, if you think about how AI is being used in marketing in terms of predicting people's behavior, that's not new.
Mm.
Uh, it's just talked about more, and the platforms are evolving and getting better. So, you know, things like programmatic marketing now is pretty much solely AI. Um, where it's getting really smart is almost predicting what your customers or consumers are going to buy before they even know they're going to buy it now. You know, that's the scary world we're moving into. Particularly though, to answer your question around connecting sales and marketing and AI, I think the big platforms are doing a really good job.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think so. To your point of how, you know, AI is nothing new. It's been around for ages. It's just been talked more. That actually came up in a previous Lead Forensics webinar. So if you go to leadforensics.com/webinars and find the AI webinar with Oliver Yonchev and Rory Flynn, that is entirely what that discussion is about. Also, there's another one with Tom Edwards that I did last year. So again, leadforensics.com/webinars. Have a look at all the webinars we got on there, and this one will be on here after we've gone live, obviously. So, and I think I want to slightly change tack with my line of questioning, if that's okay. I want to talk to you specifically about um, you as a leader. What what would you say has surprised you about being a leader, being the leader of Strategic?
Wow.
It's quite a big question, but I
Yeah.
think it's quite a good one. So,
Actually. Um, so I've been leading or running Strategic for 10 years. My background before then was sort of big corporate. So I was a sales and marketing manager, director of a couple of marketing companies in different forms. Um, what surprised me about that journey is that there's a transition for being a leader in an organization as an employee, and there's a leader of a founder. So there's probably two ways to answer that. Um, as a founder, so in the last 10 years, keeping it relevant, probably the biggest what surprised me most is the pace of decision making that you have to adapt to, um, and how you have to um, develop the skill to I don't want to say trust your instincts, but just make decisions, and um, the importance of not making a decision at the right time is equally as important as making the wrong decision. So, depending on your makeup and your behavioral preference, your communicational preference, I find it quite easy to make a decision and sleep at night. Other leaders I know struggle with that, and they obsess over what this and decision making process. So I think that's one of um, the kind of overarching surprises I had moving into an owner founder leader. Um, the other thing I think that surprised me more recently post COVID, if I'm allowed to to to
Yeah, please, by all means, go for it.
feel like everyone wants to move on from that, but um, I think what surprised me most is I always used to say running big sales teams, managing salespeople, just to sort of pull it back to part of it, was really difficult. You know,
Mm.
salespeople are a particular breed, and actually hugely undervalued as a in the UK as a skill. Um, and if you go to, I don't know, US, salespeople are seen differently than they are in the UK. And there's uh, and 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 managing salespeople was really tough because you had to keep them going, and all the things that comes with that. The last 2 years post COVID, it's really surprised me how hard it has been leading people day to day and keeping people's energy going. And if we talk around sort of mental health and mental fitness, I've sort of banned the word mental health in my vocabulary. I think it's more mental fitness we should be talking about, as controversial as that sounds. Um, it's really surprised me in the last couple of years how hard we've all had to work to raise our game in leadership to help people with their mental fitness. Uh,
So how do you motivate your teams then as a leader? But taking into, as you say, I do quite like your phrasing, mental fitness over mental health. I suppose if mental health is the barometer, you're measuring it. Your fitness, I guess, is your responsiveness to and mental resilience to challenges, I suppose. So to that end, then, how do you keep people motivated? How do you be that figurehead that the business needs you to be?
Um, there's a few things we use, and I would urge the listeners to explore. We use a system called motivational maps, which is a platform that we every quarter you complete a series of questions, and it tells you how motivated you are as an individual, and the science behind it is amazing. And what it does, it gives you a preference of what drives you, and it tells you how much of that on a day-to-day basis you're doing, and therefore how motivated you are against it. So without kind of, there maybe is another webinar where we could talk specifically about motivational maps, but I would urge anyone to have a little look at that, because it's something we've used as an agency for a number of years now. And the expectation that people's motivation is obviously variable depending on your task, what's happening in your life, and ultimately what drives you, and are you doing for things that fulfill you every day. And as a leader, it's the basics of how do you motivate people. I always say to the team, it's not necessarily my job as a leader to motivate you; it's to take away the things that demotivate you. So people generally get demotivated if there isn't a sense of direction, if there isn't clarity of expectation, if our communication as an agency is poor. So if you think about the things in businesses where people generally struggle, it's around direction, clarity of expectations, and communication. Um, Culturally, making sure that you deal with the problems within the business, and you deal with the issues. Um, More recently, we do quarterly business meetings where we take everyone off site and we talk around, and we always do an issues list, like what can we change as a leadership team, what do we need to do better, and we just draw that out of the team. And communication is a big problem within our business at the moment because we have too many platforms. So we have some people on email, some people on WhatsApp, some people on Google Chat. And things are getting missed, and it's frustrating. And every month or every quarter, we always say, "What can we change?" And everyone says communication. And I think as a leadership team, if you don't listen to the things that are annoying people and you don't then change them, then that's an easy way of demotivating. Um,
Mm.
so I think what do we do that does what do we do to motivate people is your question. We understand what their motivators and drivers are, and we try to make sure that their careers are aligned to it. That's 101. Um, and then the second thing is we try and take things away that demotivates them, whether that's process, communication, or systems, or uh, uh, yeah, the basics. And I think that's important.
That I'm reminded of. I don't know if you've seen the show, Andy, but I'm reminded of Ted Lasso. There's a scene where he takes over the football team, and he puts up a suggestions box, and there's all this stuff like, "Oh, you're rubbish. You don't belong here. You know, you've come over from America. You don't know anything about soccer. I suppose they would call it." But there's one in there that says the water pressure in the showers are rubbish, so he goes and fixes it, and it's just that little thing just
Stupid
starts to
problems. Don't have stupid problems. The simple things are the things, as you say, that are easy to fix in lots of cases. I think some of the basics we do. I mean, every Friday morning we have a company meeting, um, and the first agenda point that we cover in that meeting is what's been happening in the week, what good news. So, have we won a client? Have we done some great work? And that can take about 45 minutes. So, we have 60 people in the agency, dialing in from all over the country and in some cases world, um, and just asking someone what's been good this week, and then getting 15, 20 good things that have happened on a Friday morning is a lovely way to finish the week. So even if someone is feeling a bit flat and a bit demotivated, hearing that the agency is moving forward, we're winning work, we've done some great work, some clients have said some nice stuff, straight away that's going to change how you feel, isn't it?
mm,
And I think for the last 9 years, there's not been a Friday morning where good news isn't discussed. Um, um, and I think that's, again, it's just such a simple thing to implement to give everyone the lift. And then we, Friday should be the day where you've reviewed your week, you've set up for the next week, you've got your meetings planned, and doing that on a Friday morning. And also the second agenda point, just to really kind of cut that one off. Our agenda is good news for the week. Who's had a coaching session in the week, and what was one thing you took away from it? Who's got a coaching session for the week ahead, and what's the one thing you want to take away from it? So we're knowing that you're planned for your coaching session. And then with 60 people, there's always 2 or 3 coaching sessions happening, whether it's a one-to-one, a PDP, or a performance review of some description. So we talk about any resource updates that's happening in the business, any operational updates that are happening in the business, and resource, operational, and what pitches we're going into next week, so people can get excited about some of the work that's coming in. So we do that every week without fail, and that motivates everyone. And probably more importantly, and I say this a lot, it motivates me as a CEO, as a leader, because we get the brunt of the good news and the bad news. And I always say to the team, it's my opportunity to realize and reset every week that we do great work, and we do great stuff, and we are, people are enjoying coming to work, and people are developing their careers. And for a leader, if I don't get that on a Friday morning, I feel like I miss it.
absolutely, absolutely, 100%. We actually do something very, very similar on at Lead Forensics. We have a Friday afternoon meeting where we go around the different departments and have exactly that sort of structure. And yeah, you're absolutely right. It's a wonderful feeling to end the week on. I genuinely, personally, really enjoy it. Andy, you've offered up some really, really valuable stuff and insights on not only the sales and marketing teams alignment, but now also leadership. So thank you very much. I am going to start to wrap up our conversation here for the moment. But just before I come back to you with one final question, This webinar is obviously brought to you by Lead Forensics, which is software which identifies anonymous B2B visitors to your website, showing you their customer journey, what links they've clicked on, pages they've looked at, and all in real time. If you'd like to book an obligation free trial or book a demo with us, then just click on the poll, which is on screen now, and we will get in touch and arrange that for you. If I could also ask you to click on the other link, which is on screen, which is our webinar feedback survey, I would love to hear what you enjoyed about this week's webinar. So thank you very much. Andy, I'm coming back to you now. As I say, you have provided us with a lot of stuff to take away. So thank you very much for joining us for this one. If I could just ask you for one final thing, what's the final thing, one thing that you would like everybody watching this to take away with them today? What is that golden nugget of information you'd like to share with us?
Um, Understand your customer experience. If we bring it back to the marketing piece, um, make sure that you map out your customer journey, and you understand how you want customers to experience doing business with you as an organization. And then everything falls off of that: your strategy, your tech, your approach, your brand, and more importantly, bring it back to the leadership, your people. So if you understand, in your real business, and you want to understand and grow your business, put customers at the heart of it, and then align everyone in your business from a leadership point behind it, and align all your strategies behind it. And the world would be an easier place to market in and operate in if that was the case. It's what I'm peddling this year. Let's lean into customer experience and make sure that our brands and our businesses and our people are all aligned behind that.
Excellent stuff. Yeah, let's all go for it. One company at a time, eh, Andy?
We'll try.
Well, Andy, so thank you so much for joining us and sharing your knowledge with us today. Do keep an eye on Lead Forensic Socials for news of our upcoming webinars, and we will see you again very, very soon. But until but just for now, Andy, thank you so much for joining us.